What's up, guys, and welcome back to BitCast, episode 116 for the month of January 2024. And that's right, I said month because things are changing up. I'm your host, Jake Martin, and on the mics this week we have my good friend, or this month, we have my friend, Landry Smith. What's up, man?
Dude, what's up, man? So good to be back.
Oh,
Thanks for the invite.
yeah, it's been a long time since we recorded, and I feel like you and I have been on this podcast, and I've said that multiple times. We've always been like,
we keep coming back. We keep
just
coming
can't
back.
Stay away. We can't stay away from the mics to just talk about stuff, because if you're not getting your news anywhere else, you need to get it here first. And that's a great segue into, I guess, the first thing that we should probably talk about is Landry and I tried reworking some stuff, and I was balancing my new soon to be parent duties and another podcast and this podcast, and it was just beginning to be a little bit too much. And so now that I am living that 2-kid life, I was like, month to month seems like a good thing. And as a parent, Landry, you and I can appreciate this as well. There's something about just being overwhelmed with the amount of gaming news that exists. Do you ever feel that way? Do you ever just get like overwhelmed? Like there's just too much. There's too much going on now.
Yes, and I basically ejected myself from it for the past couple of months. I was just like, I'm out, man.
I can't do this.
So yeah, I definitely feel overwhelmed sometimes. Sometimes I just get bored with video games too. I just want to take a break sometimes and do something like read for a little while. So
yeah, give it up for Lent or something like that. Just go the way of Mark Erickson, good friend of the show. 11.5 minutes, soon to be rebranded potentially to something similar, but TBD. We'll give you guys the inside scoop when that gets decided. So yeah, we decided month to month would be good because it gives us the ability to like just chill and not have to like focus on too much. And we're just doing high level analysis and like recaps of the month. So like in this podcast now, what we're gonna be doing today is discussing the month in gaming news. So like any like major headlines that came out based on the industry, big game releases, and then just other random funny stuff that we thought was worth mentioning. Game and Watch. So looking at next month, just like, what does February hold for us? Let's see what's going on there. Any games worth noting? And then our Game of the Month Club, being that we have a month in between episodes, that should hopefully give us enough time to at least adequately check out one game so we can talk about it on the next recording, which I think I'm pretty excited about.
I'm stoked, yeah.
And then a new little game at the end called Name That Game Music, where you guessed it, I'm going to play some game music, and you as a listener can tune in and try to guess what it is before Landry gets it, which I'm assuming he's going to get it pretty quick today. We're doing our first trial run of this, and it's just going to be a pretty easy one, a gimme.
You're going to give me a layup on the first go?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
I think it's a layup.
Good. Boost the confidence.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we'll see how this goes. It'll probably adapt as time goes on, and I would love to hear some feedback from anyone that listens out there. If you want to hear something else, or maybe have us fine tune some of these segments, we are more than willing to change things up. So thanks for being with us. And before we jump in, Landry, I got to know, if you are, what are you playing?
Oh, man. I mentioned this briefly to you, but my gaming time this month a lot has been playing with Sawyer, really. And he's playing games for the first time, like coming home, asking to play way too much, to be honest. Liz and I are like, all right, man, you get like 30 minutes of screen time a night. You can decide whether we're like watching Bluey or playing
Bluey.
Mario Kart or
stuff.
Super Mario Odyssey. And both those games are so good for 4-year-olds or introductory gamers because I heard you talking to Mark about this, like just the idea of there being an auto accelerate and you could put the little safety buzzer on to where he can't fall off edges. And really what that becomes is he's just pressing the Z button to shoot off the items at that point. And it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to watch him do that. He loves it. He loves looking at everything, and that's been a lot of fun. So really my gaming time this month, a lot of it has been, with Sawyer. And then I have been taking the month to kind of focus on reading a lot. And
what are you reading right now?
Chilling out. I'm reading East of Eden, which is one of my 5 favorite novels. It is in my personal canon. pretty high up there. It's
John
phenomenal.
Steinbeck.
Yeah, so good. If you like soap operas, this is like a sublime soap opera that has a lot of biblical imagery and a lot of it's like it's basically a retelling of the Cain and Abel story,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
like through generations of family. Um, that kind of takes its root in the Salinas Valley in California. It's really, really good.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard the name before. I'm sure it's received some awards. I went to McKay's recently and picked up a whole bunch of classics that you might appreciate. I picked up Huckleberry Finn, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Oh yeah, that's one of my
Um,
favorites as well. I'm a big Mark Twain guy.
Picked up, oh gosh, I'm blanking on so many of these names right now. Catcher in the Rye,
Nice.
um, Slaughterhouse Five, and gosh, something else. I picked up like 4 classics, and
Nice.
I'm excited to check them out. I'm excited to read through them. They're like ones that we were assigned as in middle school and high school to read that I totally like either have forgotten or just didn't read at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, now I'm going back through it and I actually care about this, so I'm gonna read some of these.
It's wild, man. I love classic literature, but I hated it in high school and middle school.
So
But
weird.
all those books you've named, I've reread in either my 20s or 30s, and they all hold up quite well. So you're in for a treat on a lot of them.
I am excited. Yeah, I'll give you my book report. Um, Hopefully, earn some AR points for reading those books later.
Dude, grab those pizzas, man.
So many pieces. Can't wait.
Dude,
All
I
right.
actually probably don't have time for this. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
I
good.
scammed the system in like 4th grade. I got to where I could pick up a Hardy Boys book, and in like within 30 minutes, I could guarantee myself like a passing grade on the AR course. And like, dude, I got through that whole series in like basically one semester of 4th grade, like a boss. Got a
You
ton
just
of
had
pizzas
so
that
many
year.
points. I remember my only cheat that I thought was cheating was like reading the Harry Potter books because they were worth so many points because they were like bigger
Oh,
and
nice.
like I think I was watching the movies as I was reading those books, and so I was like, oh, I can just watch the movies and I don't have to read the whole book. And there's a lot that the movies leave out, so I didn't do too well in the quizzes. I remember I passed like a few, but I was like, I don't remember this happening. I don't know what's going on here. So that not a hack.
Not a
Don't
hack.
not a hack. Don't follow that one, please. All right, well let's jump over to this month in gaming news, shall we? Oh, I didn't even mention what I've been playing. I mean, we talk about
Yeah,
novels, but
dude, let's hear
basically,
it.
I mean, I've just been bouncing around in Tears of the Kingdom again, just going nuts,
Nice.
getting all the routes. I literally have one route missing. I have no idea where it is.
Are you sure it's not the one that you actually fall down and light up to fight Ganon?
I mean, it could be, but I went down into the depths where Hyrule Castle is and lit one in there. Is there
Oh,
one
okay.
that's further down?
I don't know. I've not been down there, but I'm assuming that's the one that I have left because I only have one as well.
Oh my gosh. What could it be? I'll have to figure this out. Yeah, because I was like scouring my map and I was like, I can't see anywhere else that there should be a shrine unless it's like way out in the ocean and it's like not even showing up on there or something like that. So
Oh, there is one out there where what is it called? The island in Breath of the Wild where you
Eventide.
go and yeah,
Yeah, that
where
one's
they
cool.
strip you of all your stuff. There's a light route out there though.
Yeah, that one. I thought the Eventide little puzzle was kind of fun. It
That
wasn't
was
as
fun.
challenging as Eventide in Breath of the Wild, but
No, it was not.
it was still cool. All right. So yeah, this month in gaming news, the idea here is we're just going to talk about, like I mentioned, stuff and going on in the industry you should know about, game releases, the reception, and anything else that we thought was just funny or interesting that happened in the gaming space in January. So at the top of the list, I kind of just put these in as they were occurring, and we'll get better as we go on with this. But yeah, we had some fun things like, just I think this number has changed since. I think we had about 5,000 people in the
Jeez,
games industry laid off this
that's
month,
that is insane. That's an insane number.
if not more. So yeah, Twitch announced it first, then Unity, Discord, Thunderful, Riot, and then most recently, the biggest one I feel like was the Microsoft
Yeah, the
layoffs.
Activision Blizzard
Yeah,
one. That's brutal.
and so yeah, what's your take on this? Like, everyone's just saying like the games industry is broken. We got to fix this.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, every time it seems like a company buys up, a developer, it's like, well, in the next year, those job cuts are coming because
Yep.
um, that's just the way it's going, and it does suck. I it's hard to understand, like, the gravity of the situation for people involved in that, but I feel like, and I'm not trying to be insensitive here, if you get into game development in 2024, you have to have mobility. Like, with your career, you have to be able to know that it could fall out from under you at any moment. And
Hmm.
that's not a comforting thing. I just can't imagine going into game development and trying to invest so much time at getting good at a particular skill only to know that, you know,
In 6 months to a year, you're going to
yeah,
be gone. Yeah.
so many stories on Twitter of people moving out for a job, like just getting a house, getting settled in to, like, usually there's like the most expensive cities in the United States. And it's
Yeah,
like,
dude.
you can't afford to miss, a paycheck over there, or,
You're done. You're
you're
moving back
uprooted.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's I think you tackled that with grace and sensitivity. I think like it's really sad. It's unfortunate, but it is like what you were mentioning. It's just an expected thing that happens in the games industry. And the one that was the least surprising to me was the Microsoft layoffs because I'm just like their team size I think was what 22,000 people,
Holy smokes.
which this layoff of 1,900 I think was like yeah close to about 10% of their total games staff being laid off. And it's significant, but yeah, when you have these two massive companies merging in to each other, there's going to be some redundancies. um, and that's just how it goes. But I think the bigger thing that I had thought of was that this is all unfortunately still fallout from the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like this is still what we're feeling from the pandemic where games exploded because people really didn't have much else to do and they're like, well, I'm gonna start playing games and just go nuts on this stuff. And so they were staffing up, people were playing games like crazy, so they had more interest, and companies were like, we gotta feed this desire right now. Let's build all these teams, let's expand here, make this game, make this game, make this game. And then all of a sudden, pandemic is over, people aren't playing games as much, and kind of the tide is slowing down. And now they're like, oh crap, we may have made some bad calls on how much we needed to expand here. So
Yeah.
time to cut. So
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. And it really feels like every month we're getting news about layoffs. It felt like last year that was the big news. And then January was no different. So,
every year, every year there's something. There's some layoffs happening. So yeah, if you're going into that, God bless you. Hope that you make it
yes.
through the cuts. And if you're going through it right now, we hope that you find a job soon and it all works out in the long run. All right, this next one is pretty fun. Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong scores reinstated on the archival leaderboard. Did you see the story?
I did see this story. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say good for Billy Mitchell. He seems like just one of the scummiest people, maybe of all time. Like, he's like a walking supervillain, which I guess is kind of his shtick. But
Yeah,
um, it's almost irrelevant. It's not irrelevant to him, and probably that's it, because his record, he doesn't really have any records anymore. They've all been beaten.
yeah.
But the history of his records are reinstated. So
Hmm.
good for him. I mean, I if he actually did it, which I assume he did, he deserves that credit. So um, good for
Yeah.
him. And now he can get
So
back to selling his hot sauce with peace of mind.
yeah, so for those who don't know the context of Billy Mitchell, he's just yeah, like Landry described, it's like he literally is in this documentary called The King of Kong, and it's about these two guys basically competing to try and get the highest score in Donkey Kong. And it follows the up and comer, the newbie on the block that's trying to break into the score and get the highest score of all time. And he does it essentially in this documentary. But then Billy Mitchell swoops in out of nowhere with this random VHS tape that basically proves that he has the highest score that you can achieve in Donkey Kong. And it was this whole situation. And very very unfortunate. But the story is great, and I would highly recommend checking it out. And
Dude, can't beat it. What is it? Steve Wiebe is the other guy's name.
yeah,
And yeah, that is a great documentary. Very
great
fun.
documentary. And then there was this controversy where he got kicked out because they thought that like he was using some kind of emulator or different ROM to get those scores, and so obviously it didn't meet the certifications required to be on this leaderboard for Donkey Kong, and it was this whole he was in court for a while battling this, and it's been decades. It's been over a decade, I feel like, since he's been fighting these. So he's back on.
Yeah.
So he's back on the leaderboards. Good job, Billy Mitchell. All right. Subscription models the future? Question mark. So this came from a Ubisoft exec, and he says gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games for subscriptions to take off.
Yeah, man. It's so hard being a person, probably an executive at a company, because anything you say in any context can be taken and blown out of proportion. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know that he meant this in the most negative context that it was taken up in. I think he was trying to comment on the Ubisoft streaming service and how successful it
Mm-hmm.
was, and why maybe it's not doing as well. And I'm not 100% sure the context that he was talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
I think what Twitter took it as is a direct threat to physical media. And, you know,
Yeah.
physical media is going to stand in some sense, whether it's just for, you know, niche collectability, like limited run games, for a very long time, if not
Right.
forever. But the thing that scares me about streaming services, Jake, is the content loop, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I do not like Netflix very much. We are subscribed to it, and I have nothing against Netflix. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
the best show that I've watched on there, probably in the past couple of years, is Wednesday. And like, there's no real artistic merit to Wednesday. It is extremely fun and entertaining, but like, I like I prefer, you know, content that's a little more well thought out, that's going to challenge me in some way. And what I fear about for video games is like, are these indie space games going to have enough, you know, are these big companies going to want to actually fund those games or put those games on their service? And
Mm-hmm.
like Netflix, for instance, if you try and search classic games on Netflix or classic movies on Netflix, there's nothing on Netflix that's under like 1970. I think there's 4 movies that were made in the 60s on Netflix. I might have that wrong, but I
That's an
was looking it
interesting
up the other
stat to
day.
have.
Yeah, I was looking that up literally the other day. I think IGN had an article. And so like, they're doing this classic series, but a lot of that stuff's buried in the menus, and if you don't like know what you're looking for and search for it, you're never going to see it. So I don't know. I am afraid of streaming services just because I mean, I'm subscribed to like a million things. Like, we've got it all,
Yep.
like Hulu, Apple TV, Max. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy having all of that at my fingertips, but at the same time, it's just like, dude,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like there's any crazy shows like Breaking Bad coming out that are really like innovating. It all seems to be formulaic, and I'm not saying they're
Yeah.
not good. I enjoy a lot of it, but it's just not like groundbreaking in any way, because everything is formulaic, because they don't want to put money into something that's not going to succeed.
They need something that's going to succeed and keep people coming back over and over and over and over and over again to keep paying the subscription model,
Exactly.
price. And so, yeah, it's weird when you compare the two, like Netflix or a traditional movie streaming service to games. Like, it's just a little bit different because you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can, but people typically don't play games that way. It really is kind of more of a one
It's
and
true.
done situation, unless it's something like Fortnite or a live service game that you can just jump on and play as much as you want.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about Game Pass or, PlayStation, I can't remember what their terrible naming convention is, even though I'm
It's bad.
subscribed to it.
Extra, Essentials, Premium, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Um,
Yeah.
there may be maybe one game that captures the attention of like the gaming, you know,
Hmm.
community each month, and that's a maybe. It's usually probably less than that. So
Yep. Yeah. This is an interesting quote here. It says from that exec, one of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. And like that kind of makes sense. Like, I think that's kind of more what he was referencing is just like
Exactly.
this shift happened in physical media. Like gamers need to become more comfortable with this idea, just like they have with music. But again, music's a hard thing to compare because music, to me, I listen this way now because of streaming services, but it's very like pick and choose. What you want. You can make your own playlist. You can just pick a song. Like I want to listen to that song, that song, that song, that song. It's very rare now that people will listen through whole albums, which is very sad. Again,
Yeah.
but that's a pro and a con, and I think that's another negative again of this streaming stuff is like it's not that easy to just to pick and choose to like know if you want to play a game or not. You have to sit down with it and play for a long time, and then even if you've played for a long time, what's going to happen is like you might get halfway through like I don't want this anymore. It's like I've just wasted a ton of time. Whereas with a song, you can play and just skip ahead for like 30 seconds and be like not my vibe, and then you're out.
Yeah, I found when I was subscribed to PlayStation Extra for like 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I found like after reflecting during that time period, I really wasn't having as much fun playing games because I was bouncing off everything
Yep.
about 5-6 hours in, and so for me, somebody who likes to really analyze games and deep dive into them and then talk about them with you or Mark or wherever else I'm at, it's just not conducive to like the way I like to talk about video games. So
Yep.
I felt like I was kind of shortchanging myself. And you know what? $15 a month is not that much money when you think about how many games you're offered. But for me, somebody who's really probably going to play like 5 PS5 games a year, maybe less, it's not that big of a deal for me to drop $70 when a release comes out that I'm really excited about and
Right.
then really spend the time with it. I'm probably going to complete it, get the trophies, whatever.
Yep. Yep. So hopefully we find a good like what is the middle ground? I mean, I think we're still going to kind of just be in this territory where it's always going to be like this hybrid physical and then subscription model. Like it's
Dude,
just going
I
to be those two.
love the PlayStation Plus Essentials model
The
where they
basic one.
give you 2 to 3 surprise games. It's like if one of those games hits for you, it's such a little pleasant surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Death's Door was a couple months ago, so
Yeah.
I knew that game from your recommendation. So it's really cool having that on the hard drive. I played it for like 20 minutes, and I realized that that is a game that I want to spend time with and I want to play. So I've got that downloaded, and I'll play that in the future, and that's awesome. I like Nintendo's model as well, where they just give you a giant streaming service of stuff that's 20 years old, and
All the retro stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, who of the other companies can offer that much retro content and know that be confident enough to know that that stuff's worth playing? Because
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, a lot of old retro content does not hold up as well as the stuff that was on those
It does
Nintendo
not.
consoles.
It does not. Yeah. That is interesting to compare the two because yeah, I mean, and it's also way cheaper. That's the other benefit of
True.
NSO. I think it's well, I guess with the expansion pack, I don't know how much it costs
Expansion
on top
packs, I
of
think
that.
70 a year or
Yeah.
60 a year, and that's what Essential is too.
Yeah.
Or
But
they both might be 70
but
now.
you're
I
getting
don't
that
know.
library. You're getting that library, and you can share
Yeah.
with you can share it with like 5 people or something like that, right?
Oh, really?
I think like if
Oh,
you
with a Nintendo Switch thing? Yeah, there's
yeah.
a family. There's a family option and a single option.
Yeah, that's the good stuff right there.
True.
All right, moving on. Rock Band 4 is getting its final DLC. Did you see this one?
I did because it was in your notes. Rock Band means absolutely nothing to me, uh, and for no reason other than that, I just somehow missed it. It missed me my whole life.
I love Rock Band, and it's just amazing that it's still even getting these DLC packs. Like I don't even know when Rock Band 4 came out, but it's been a minute since Rock Band's even like really had cultural relevance.
Yeah,
Let me
I did
see.
love Guitar Hero back in the day.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, this was
Guitar
just
Hero
that
is
on
awesome.
steroid. So yeah, Rock Band 4 came out in 2015.
Wow.
So going 9 years now,
I do not
almost.
remember hearing about that at all.
And there's, hold on. Over the years, we've cleared, authored, and released nearly 3,000 songs as DLC. Oh my
That's
gosh.
insane.
And well over 3,000 if you include all the game soundtracks.
That may be more than my old iTunes library.
That is impressive. So sad to hear that it's gone, but man, nothing beat just playing some Rock Band with your friends on
Sounds like it had a really awesome run. And I saw that article that they were like, you know what, if you have it downloaded, you can play it forever. We're not taking it away from you. So they must have worked something out in the licensing agreement to where
if
they're
you
going to
own the
keep that.
game in the DLC, you own it forever, and it's just going to be hard coded to your console, I guess. Like if you
Yeah.
just download the songs like literally to your console and you can play them.
I want to know the guy who has a PS4 with like a 2 terabyte drive of just all 3,000 Rock Band songs. It's like the Rock Band machine.
2 terabytes, please, Landry, please. But that is funny though. Like that's just his Rock Band machine. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
hold on, I'll bring my Rock Band PS4 over. We're gonna play it on there. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I guess you could probably get away with like a 500 gig base model
Yeah,
for 3,000 songs.
that'd be okay. Yeah, that'd be okay. But I guess I mean they put animations into these songs too. You know, they have the buttons coming towards you to show
Yep.
you.
Yeah. So there you go.
And if you're playing multiple instruments, that's 4 different tracks. You know, so it's a lot. It's a lot. All right. And then last on news I thought was interesting, Microsoft Developer Direct happened, and we got some inside looks on Indiana Jones, Hellblade 2, Avowed, Ara something something something, which is like a strategy game, and Visions of Mana.
Dude, that was exactly my demeanor when I was watching the Aura something something something
Not my
segment. I
kind of
was just
game.
like, bro,
Not my
please
kind of game.
get me out of here.
They never display well. It was cool seeing like the developer and stuff, and like them talking about like making the game, but I was like,
Yeah.
this gameplay is not for me.
Yep.
Get me out of here. Oh yeah. So did anything stand out to you?
Honestly, the Mana game looks kind of for me. I would play. I like the
Yeah, me
Secret of
too.
Mana series. I like Trials of Mana was not a good game. I would consider it very okay at best, but
Mhm.
that's the kind of stuff that I really like. So, um, in a schlocky, like just you know simple way, I enjoy those games, and that game looks like it's pretty great. So,
Yeah,
um, could be really good. And
I hope so.
Avowed looked like a B movie version of Skyrim. Uh, did not hit for me. There's something
Uh,
about the amount of pinks and purples and reds they're using in the fantasy world they're creating, where I'm
mhm.
like, this just feels a little too 2024 making a fantasy world. Like it's like the Gen Z fantasy world. Like, I don't know.
Let's make this
That's
hip and cool. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna land. I like the idea of like being able to wield a wand and a gun at the same time. Like that's a unique concept. But yeah, overall, I don't feel like a lot of these previewed super well. Like I think Divisions was good. Indiana Jones, I am interested in because they got his image and likeness, and it looks like a great indie story. They're following the same thread, so it is in the timeline of indie. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks
Um,
it looks cool. I like Indiana Jones a lot personally. So yeah, I might
Troy
give
Break,
that one a go at some point.
Troy Baker to voice Indiana Jones, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And
Sounded
Troy
good.
Baker is known for The Last of Us. He's the voice of Joel from The
Right.
Last of Us. In case you did not know that, audience. And then Hellblade 2 looks amazing, looks great. There was some kerfuffle online about it being too short again, because it's been in development for a while and it's like a 6 to 8 hour campaign, I think.
Dude, that conversation completely misses the mark for me because to
Yeah,
me, it's everything I want the video game industry to go towards is a nice,
we don't need all this
succinct
crap.
8 to 10 hour campaign. I mean, like, I don't understand why anyone would complain about that. That sounds perfect. If it's 8 great hours of like narrative gameplay that is
Hmm.
pushing you in a direction.
Which it looks
Um,
like it is. It looks fabulous. So
like
I hope that does well.
almost every game that I've played in the past 5 years, my major criticism is like, wow, dude, that they are shoehorning in so much stuff to these narrative experiences like God of War or Horizon Forbidden West just to extend the gameplay. And it's so obvious. And it really, uh,
Bogs it down,
it
man.
bogs it down. Yeah. You're doing the same thing for 30 hours over and over again, or the same gameplay
Hmm.
loop. It gets tiring.
Yep. Right there with you, brother. Right there with you. So yeah, here's for more short games that are doing interesting things, and it's not even short. 8 hours is a long time.
Yeah. All
I
that
would
said, Hellblade does not look interesting to me at all. I don't know why that has just never appealed to me.
don't
I
want to.
mean, it's visually stunning, and I think it's cool. But like, dude, I don't know if it's the uh, just the idea of like mental illness. Like being in someone's head who's mentally ill. That is like that hits a little too close for home for me. So
That's it's a
I'll
little
probably
scary.
miss that one.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to really experience that. It sounds a little
Yeah.
too scary for me, but it looks great. It looks
It
great.
does look beautiful.
Oh man. All right, let's move on to big game releases and their reception. So I'm going to list these off really quick, but we had the Prince of Persia, the Last Crown.
Lost Crown, I think.
People are loving this game. It's
Dude, it
like
looks awesome.
I really want to pick this up. Like as soon as I'm done with Tears, I think I'll jump over to this because it just looks like a game that's right up my alley, and it'll be a lot of fun to just kind of move through. And it
well,
feels
Jake, you and I are seasoned gamers, and we understand Ubisoft, and we understand their penchant for dropping the price of a game to like absurd values within a couple of months. Sparks of Hope, Mario vs. Rabbids, Sparks of Hope was like $13.49 over Black Friday. So these
makes me
$50,
sad.
$60 releases, they drop them so fast. So I will get this. If it hits the $30 mark, I'll be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I'm assuming Switch, or are you going for PS5 on that one?
Should I probably go for PS5? I would imagine. Actually, I heard that they developed this game on Switch,
Yeah,
and then
like it
ported
looks
it
good
to
on
other consoles. So, if it was
Same
made
price.
on Switch, I would probably go Switch because that is my favorite console to play stuff on.
If it's
just
the
the
same
portability.
price. Yeah, portability. And I'm not paying for a PlayStation Portal just yet. So,
Dude,
I think
I don't think I can do a PlayStation Portal. I cannot get any of the streaming stuff to work in my house without it being absurdly choppy.
Got to get that mesh router up
Dude,
and
I
running.
have a gig and I have a pretty decent router.
You have a gig? Oh man, that's wild. Yeah, it's got to be an issue with something else then.
It's because my house is it's like 3,000 square feet. So it's just I need an extender.
A lot of house. You got a lot of house. Yeah.
Too much house.
a good problem to have.
Yes.
All right, The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. That kind of came and went. I didn't see a lot of people like really talking about it. They were like, "Yeah, this game's great."
Yeah, that dude, no conversation whatsoever on my end. I picked it up and it had some of the coolest special features I've ever seen in a video game. Did you get to play the Lost Levels?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, I highly recommend it to anyone out there and to you especially, Jake. So they basically have like director commentary of these levels that were like 80-90% finished,
And
and they just let you play them, and you get to see like how their animations are not done completely, but like you get to see how they would be in the level and like walk around it and stuff. And there's like,
wow,
as you're walking through, you go up to these little exclamation points and then like click them, and the developer will like talk you through a scenario, and it's really cool.
Whoa.
And it's even cooler than I'm making it sound, because like it's Naughty Dog, right? So their unfinished animations truly look better than a lot of the stuff you see on people's first party stuff. So
dang, I didn't even hear about. How did we not hear about this? Like, how is this like not a major story that's like, hey, this is a really cool thing that you should go back to?
It should be so much. It should be talked about so much more, because as a like any kind of director's cut in the future needs to consider this kind of content. I mean, it's like deleted scenes from DVDs back in the day, but it's even done with more care than a lot of those. Where also the rogue light experience in the game is really cool.
Yes, I have heard that's good.
And It is good, but like my one thing is that The Last of Us is a brutal game, and the brutality is not necessarily celebrated in the story. You know, it's
Right.
you're supposed to be doing things that make you feel a little icky. And dude, when you go and play that game like just for fun, like for the gameplay loop, first of all, you realize two things. A, it's so brutal, it's disgusting. And B, the stealth mechanics, the going prone, like what you
Hmm.
can do with the AI to manipulate them, and then how good the AI is. That game is just so well designed. I don't think the actual like mechanics of the combat got nearly enough praise in that game. Everybody talks about the narrative, and yes, that is incredible. I think it's the best narrative in video games, but um, the mechanics are so good.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out, but like it is like you were saying, it's such a brutal game that I'm kind of I'm still a little scarred from playing it like all those years, like I don't know how many years ago now, where I was just like, "God, this is gnarly." Like
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to do that again. I don't know if I can
true.
get back in that headspace yet.
Dude, I don't know. I Playing that game was so much fun. I remember talking about it with you when it came out, and just processing all of that game.
Hmm.
And it's so much to unpack and to think about. And yeah, it's heavy.
I need to go back through it eventually when I'm
Eventually,
ready.
maybe it might be a once every 10 years game.
Ooh, there you go. There you go.
But
Just like
it's $10 to get the remaster. I recommend you get it, Jake, just for the deleted levels. That's just one night of you could do it in one night. I think it probably will take you about an hour,
just checking
and
it
it's
out.
really cool.
Okay. Okay. Last of Us Part 2. Landry recommends, especially if you are already bought the game.
Yeah, I
$10
don't.
upgrade.
I mean, if
Easy.
you've never played it, you pay whatever you got. If it's $100, buy it. But if if you've already paid it, yeah, make sure you get that $10 upgrade.
Easy win. Easy win. All right. We also got Golden Sun and Golden Sun The Lost Age on NSO, which I thought was pretty cool. That was a fun little
Yeah,
ad. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, so we can actually skip that for right now.
cool.
Pal World. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is a big topic, but
It's taking the world by
it's
storm.
taking it over. People love Pal World. It's derivative, I think, to call it Pokemon with guns now at this point. That's what it was referred to up until this point, but now people are like,
Yeah.
no, 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 it's more than that. It's much more than Pokemon with guns. Yeah, this is a game that's getting, if you've not followed this at all, basically what's happened is it literally looks like a lot of the monsters in this game look like Pokemon. You can catch them, but you can do a lot more than catch them. You can take them back to your base, have them build stuff for you, basically enslave them to just work forever for you and do stuff. You can kill them, you can eat them. There's like all kinds of stuff you can do.
It's like I do want to play this at some point just to kind of chew on it, think it over. Like there's two ways this could go. One, it's just kind of gross and debased, and there's no real merit to all of it. But what I think they're going for, and I can't tell because I honestly haven't spent a lot of time looking at anybody playing a stream. I read a review from IGN, but like
Hmm.
I think it's going for like a satirical commentary on like just the absurdity of
Yeah.
the catch 'em all monster games like Pokemon or
Hmm.
Yokai Watch. And if it does do that satire well, um, you know, I think that could add some, you know, merit to it. It's very hard to do satire well
Yes.
in this
But
day and age.
that could be their one saving grace with if Nintendo and their their ninjas come after Pal
Yeah,
World for their likeness to Pokemon designs.
dude,
So
the likeness is absurd. It literally looks like they put like into an AI generator. Like,
yep,
what does a Pikachu and a
yep.
Ghastly look
Just
like if you
mash up these
combine it
two
together?
Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty crazy.
That's what it feels like when you look at some of the designs. It is weird. I don't want to say anymore because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But that's what it seems like. And I'm curious to see how this all unfolds. This may be a game that doesn't exist in a month from now. So who
No,
knows?
it's going to exist, man. It's way too huge for
Yeah,
that.
it's too big now. They have at least enough money to fight to pay for a lawyer. They can.
Yeah, or I mean, I don't know how hard it would be, but like surely they thought this through. Surely they could just like change the monster designs. I know that would be tough, but better than like taking the whole game down.
Yeah. because that's the thing. People like the game for a few reasons. One, it obviously has the Pokemon likeness stuff, but it does much more with it than traditional Pokemon games have, especially in the last 3 or 4 iterations. So I think a lot of people are like latching onto this because it's initially hooking them with the Pokemon. Like, let's see what this is all about, and then they get in there and they're like, oh, this is actually a good game. Like, there's
Yeah.
more here that's actually keeping me coming back for more. So, we'll see. We'll see about that one. And then we had Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Tekken 8 release right here at the end of the month, and people are loving those as well.
Dude, like 90 on Open Critic for both those games.
Yeah,
last I saw.
That's looking good for me. I think, Matthew, our good friend Matthew from Nintendo Watcher, he got Like a Dragon, and I got Tekken 8. So we're both sitting pretty with our first games getting 90s. That's nice.
You dogs.
That's nice.
Yeah, good for y'all. I'm so proud, man.
Good for y'all. So happy.
Like a Dragon looks awesome, though, man. I would like to play that game. It has that classic Sega charm. This is probably the first Like a Dragon or Yakuza game, Yakuza, that I've ever actually watched a lot of coverage on. And I don't know, man, that might be a series that I've just missed my whole life that I would really enjoy. So
it feels that way for me too, but I only want to play Like a Dragon. I don't want to play the previous entries.
I agree. Yeah,
I'm just going to start there and be like, yeah, this is great. And I might even play this one because someone was describing how massive it is and how much they've crammed into this, and I'm like, that seems like too much for me. But
yeah, like I might bite off more than I can chew. One of the cool things that I will say about this is it takes place in Hawaii, and like, I expected to see like a tropical environment. It's like the city of Hawaii, which is kind of cool, like a new location or locale that maybe I have never seen in a video game or really a lot of in movies.
You're not getting the traditional Hawaii look, It's like, I'm sure there's beaches. I'm sure there's a lot you can do that is very tropical, but for the most part, when I think of Hawaii, I think of the volcanoes and just beautiful sand and everything else everywhere. But like, you're in the city and you're just doing Yakuza stuff. So good month overall for 2024. This is a great month starting out.
January.
Yeah, people are liking these games, and like, really the only stain so far that we've gotten is I think Suicide Squad is supposed to come out. That actually comes out in February, but that launch is not going well.
Stain. That's that is it looks terrible. It's looked terrible since its inception, since just the idea that they would put out a Suicide Squad game when they did so good with the Batman stuff, and it's been like 7 or 8 years since Batman. It's like, dude, we're ready. I love that Batman trilogy.
We're ready.
I do not have any affiliation with the Suicide Squad. Like, I watched that horrible movie, and that was enough for me. I don't think I've ever gone back to that well.
The new Suicide Squad is good.
I think I'm done with superhero movies, maybe until I'm like 70.
Me too. I think we're all a little burnt out on the superhero stuff. Even Spider-Man a little bit.
I'm obsessed with Spider-Man, and even Spider-Man a little bit.
Like, I'm over this. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully February has more to offer. But last on our list here, interesting, funny bits, worst Twitter takes. Microsoft should stop porting games to other platforms because it damages their brand.
Yeah, that's so stupid. I read that article. I was like, dude, I cannot believe they published this. First of all, it's commentary on just Twitter mob people, which like is my least favorite thing about games journalism right now. And I get it. This is like, you don't watch a lot of sports, Jake. Am I right about that?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, ESPN went completely off the rails about probably 7 years ago. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I know what they started doing. And that is they started looking at Twitter or the internet and started looking at like trending topics and created all of their content around that stuff. And so every single hour of television on ESPN felt the exact same. And what we're doing in games journalism now is we're looking at these trending topics, which is usually just, a minority that are shouting the loudest, and they're annoying as hell, and everybody knows it. And we're writing articles about their takes, about stupid takes that have no merit and really no real thought or reason behind them. And then we're talking about that for a week, and it just drives me crazy. So I'm so glad you put this on the absurd takes,
worst
or whatever.
Takes.
Yeah.
It's it's a little ironic to be talking about it in that context. Like,
Right.
this is the worst, but we're talking about it.
Yes.
But that
Well,
is one of the worst one I saw in this month.
I
Um,
agree.
and then a quick little funny bit or interesting bit is the Game Shark leaked potentially the Switch 2. They were just like announced in a press release and first spotted by Digital Trends. AI Shark revealed that it was reviving the Game Shark brand and that it was relaunching in September 2024 to coincide with the Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh man,
I just love that.
my favorite part about that was one of the like CEOs of the company got on like 2 hours later and was like, "No, no, 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 we were just speculating." But like another person in their company was like, "Oh yeah, that's the date." like at the same
Yeah.
time. So they're like all miscommunicating all around each other.
Oh,
And
I just love that it's Game Shark too. It's just like
yeah,
how did this happen? This is how did all these things come together to make this excellent story? Just so funny.
yes.
All right, well, let's jump over to February. Looking ahead, Landry, I'm going to list off some of these games, and then you're just going to pick one or two that you're looking forward to the most. All right.
Okay.
So, starting off February 2nd, Persona 3 Reload, and then we had Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League on February 2nd.
That's no.
Tomb Raider 1 to 3 remastered, coming out the 14th. Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the 16th. Skull and Bones finally coming out on the
Wow.
16th.
I can't believe that still exists.
Open Roads on the 22nd. Pacific Drive also on the 22nd, which is very confusing.
Yeah, for real.
Two games about driving.
Yes.
Showing up on the same day. And then the one most people probably are anticipating, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, coming out on the 29th. So of those, which ones speak to you most?
Really the only one that speaks to me that I could maybe there's two. I guess Persona 3 maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I'm
it's
there with
Final
you too.
Fantasy VII Rebirth is the one that I will probably play at some point. I got to be honest, man. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I've played almost all of them. I think that Final Fantasy VII may be one of my least favorites in the series.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought it did a lot of cool stuff, but I just don't have the connection or, uh, the characters don't stick with me that much. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand why people love them so much. Just to be 100% honest, like Cloud is maybe one of the most like stiff and just
Emo.
yeah, emo protagonist of all time. And uh,
It's
I
because
could
the
go down the
graphics,
list.
man. It's because of those sick graphics on the PlayStation. All right.
Now, there's no doubt that the marketing and advertising for the original Final Fantasy VII was awesome, and seeing that back then was really cool. But I don't know, man. It just
Now,
never hit with me. But a lot of that is because when I got my PlayStation, my first RPG was Final Fantasy IX.
a
So
great one, a good one.
yeah,
My first
dude,
one was
so
actually
good.
10. So
Really,
yeah,
10 was awesome as
we
well.
were already in that 3D space, and it was great. So we were having
Yes.
a good time with that. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I think I'm more looking forward to Persona 3 Reload. I think that's going to be great, and then Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, only because I need to finish the first one, and I want to play that. But it looks great. It looks really good. So we shall see. And then I just want to see how Skull and Bones ends up. Like that's the thing for me. I'm just like, what's going to happen
It would
here?
be the funniest thing ever if it was a success
Just
and
a
a good
massive
game,
success.
because all signs are pointing towards a quick release
Yep.
and them just getting rid of it.
Yep.
But what's crazy about that game is it started off as like a uh, offshoot of Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and that came out like 2014, maybe 2013. It's
I thought you were
like
going to say
forever
20
ago.
years ago.
It
That came
feels
out
like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute since Black Flag came out. People love that game.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much desire there is for pirates right now. Maybe we've come so far and we're so far now removed from the Sea of Thieves that people might want this, and also we're tired of superhero stuff. So maybe it's time to go back to
Yeah.
the ocean.
Dude, I love the pirate mythologies and everything like that. It's a lot of fun.
Would you say that pirate life's for you?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Do you see this beard, dude?
A pirate
Fit
life
right
for
in.
me. Watched the original one on, like, it was on YouTube TV the other day, and I was like, this is a good film.
It's
just
great.
Black Pearl is just great. It's good.
Yeah, I
good
agree.
stuff. Also, quick little fun note here. If you guys are listening, the calendar or like the games we just mentioned, what I'm doing is as the games get announced, I'm adding them to a public Google Calendar, and I'm going to link that in the show notes. So if you just want to know like when games are coming out and add them to your Google Calendar, you can do that. And I have all the platforms that they're coming out for as well, so you can see all of that information in your preferred. Well, actually, not your preferred, but your Google Calendar. You can move it to an iCal, I think, somehow. I'm not trying to do that. We'll see. But yeah, those are the games. I'm looking forward to that. And then Mario versus Donkey Kong, I'm just curious. I didn't love that game when it came out initially, and I was like, yeah, okay, puzzles, but it'll be cool.
I would much rather have Donkey Kong 94 just on a Game Boy emulator. Like I would pay money for that. I wouldn't pay money for the remake of Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
All right, let's jump over to the third segment and then one more after that before we close it out. Game of the Month Club.
Yeah.
And since
I'm excited about this, man.
Since this is our first month back podcasting, we don't have a game to talk about, but we are going to talk about the one we're playing from now until our next recording, which will be near the end of February. And so the idea here is that we're just going to pick a game, probably one every single time that's widely available. Sometimes if it's something that's really interesting to Landry and I or another host, we're just going to pick one that we both know we're going to pick up and play. But yeah, we're not required to beat the game. We're just going to give it a play, see what we think, and then we'll just say some highs and lows. And if we can score it just on how we're feeling about it at the time, we'll drop a score on it right there. But the first game of the month that I think we decided we wanted to check out would be Golden Sun on the GBA via NSO. It just came out on NSO. I'm already playing this on Analog Pocket.
Oh man.
So I'm like halfway through, and I already have some opinions on it. But I'm curious to see, Landry, you kind of go through it because you said this is a franchise that you dropped out of because they were less interesting to you than Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I played it as a kid, so whenever I got my Game Boy Advance, I'm not sure how old I was. It was probably 13 or so. Mm-hmm. But I remember buying the Game Boy Advance. I remember I traded in my Game Boy Color and Zelda Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, and I got a Game Boy Advance and Castlevania Circle of the Moon. And my second game was Golden Sun. So I had a pretty strong start on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, you had some good stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, Golden Sun for me, I remember initially thinking, wow, the graphics are awesome. This is so cool. But it just fizzled out for me. Like it never left an impression. And honestly, I think back on it and I struggle to remember much at all. So I'm excited to get back into it, see, maybe it was a me thing or maybe it was the game. So we'll see.
Yeah, my only thing is it's very much it's kind of hard to describe because this is made by Camelot. I don't know if you know that developer, but they're the ones who make
sports games.
Exactly.
Mario sports.
They basically made Golden Sun and then quickly shifted over to making all their sports titles. So Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, all that stuff.
Yeah, that is like strictly their lane now.
That's all they do now, pretty much. And it's kind of sad to know that they had this kind of interesting RPG series that's been dormant since I guess the 3DS. They released one on the 3DS, and I would like to see what a new take from them would look like, and I think they could do something cool. But yeah, Golden Sun, GBA, NSO on February for our podcast. We'll talk about that, and we'll just see how we're doing, see how we're feeling about it. No commitments to beat it because that's too much. That's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much.
We're not crazy here, man. I have no idea how long to beat that game is, but I would imagine it's an RPG. It's got to be
about
at
20
least
hours.
30. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, 20 to 30 would be the length.
It's doable. Hey, who knows?
It's not bad. It's not bad. All right, now Landry, moving on to our last segment, Name That Game Music. It's time for our final segment, Name That Game Music, the hit game where I play music from a video game and contestants earn points by guessing the correct game and level or area
And I'm so glad it's a hit already. Can't wait.
The hit game. And you get 5 points each for guessing these. So like 5 points if you get the game, and then 5 points if you get the level or area.
Cool.
So you have a chance to double your points here if you get both correct. And you're competing against no one right now.
I'm competing against all the listeners out there. Let's see if I can get to it first.
And I hope you can hear this. I hope this is going to work. So I'm going to play it here, and we'll see what happens. In 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm vibing. Dude. Okay, it's Mario Kart, obviously.
Okay.
But I'm struggling with which game. I'm thinking it's got that retro vibe. It's not 8. I'm leaning Mario Kart 64. It's hard to associate that without the sound effects though, but I'm going to go Mario Kart 64.
Okay. And what track specifically do you think it is?
Oh, gracious. Rainbow Road.
Oh. Well, this is interesting, Landry. Because you're really close. It is Rainbow Road. So you get a point. You get 5 points for that.
Is it the Wii version?
It is actually Double Dash.
The
GameCube version.
Son of a gun. That is way harder than you would anticipate, Jake, because there's so many Mario Karts.
There are a lot of Mario Karts. But like for my brain, that song is like locked in my head for Mario Kart. And I guess it is harder as the games get like Mario Kart 8, where there's all these remakes where they bring the songs back in,
Right.
But I'm going for the original appearance.
I don't know that I ever owned Double Dash. I may have, but I definitely played a lot of it at friends' houses. I own it now as an old man, but that's mostly just on the bookshelf.
How about that's quite a bop though, man. Double Dash.
That is a bop.
I have such fond memories of playing that game, and just I love the mechanic of like being able to ride in the same cart as a friend. Like that was just such a fun idea. Where like one person controlled the driving, the other person controlled like throwing the items and hitting players next to you. Like, bring that back. Like, I like the idea of being able to like punch the person next to me and like make them spin out. Like,
so much fun. That's another one that Sawyer and I played that together as well. And he likes to be in the back, which is great.
I guess he can throw the items and punch people, so he's doing great.
Yeah. Just the fact that if you're Bowser in that game, he just launches the car up in the air every time he punches. It's pretty great.
Yeah. It's so, I'm tempted almost to give you like a half a point because you got Mario Kart.
No. Don't do that.
You got Mario Kart.
I've got enough. I got enough of this stuff logged in the back of my brain. I don't need to be cheated for.
I've got enough points. So far that I'm competing against nobody for. So, well, that was fun. I might try to add in like 1 or 2 more songs so we can kind of make it a series and see if we can get them all.
I like that.
But good stuff. Well, that is the end. What a note to end on. Rainbow Road from Double Dash. So unfortunately, y'all, that is the end of our January BitCast. Listeners, what do you think of the format? Let us know. Let us know what you want to hear, see. Any song choices you might want to throw our way, I can try and stump Landry with. You got to make them like kind of well known, okay? Because we can't be throwing some
like if you're like gonna throw some obscure like Sega Saturn title at me, I'm gonna have no shot.
Yeah,
I know the Genesis pretty well, but like mostly I'm a Nintendo guy and PlayStation.
Yeah, Nintendo, some PS2 stuff, maybe some PlayStation stuff, depending on how prominent the game was, like Spyro or something like that. We could get away with some stuff there, Crash Bandicoot maybe. But yeah, it gets really hard really fast when you think about how many games are out there and how many just how much music there actually exists on each console. It's like, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So, let us know by writing into us on Spotify or send emails to jake@bitbloggist.com. Landry, thank you so much for hopping on and doing this, man. I appreciate you.
Dude, so fun to talk about video games, and I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Any plugs you want or anything you want to, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I don't even know what to call it anymore. I feel like when I say X, like I have to say like X. Like, you have to like make a show of it. So I'll just say Twitter. but yeah, it's at Soft Iconoclast. You can find me over there. Occasionally, I have some hot takes. I've been doing. They're not hot takes in that like they're nothing that I don't firmly believe, but I've just been commenting on things that I think that like critics are praising way too much lately. That's like my favorite thing. And I'm trying to give good reasons why I think that like this is just, this market's already been oversaturated. Like there's nothing really fresh or unique in some of the stuff that they're talking about. So, but I am wrong often, and I love it when other people have different opinions. So please feel free to comment back.
Get there for all of Landry's hot takes or just logical takes on the industry and cowboy talk.
Yeah, occasionally Dallas Cowboys, but I have fallen into the pit of despair in regards to sports.
Not just cowboy talk. I'm glad I clarified that. You're just talking about Cowboys a lot. Just I'm a big fan of Cowboys.
It is the Dallas Cowboys that he's referring to. I don't have a lot of cowboy knowledge. I don't think so.
I wish I did.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
That'd be so sick to be known as the cowboy guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Jake, that guy loves Cowboys. You should talk to him about that. He's a compendium on cowboy knowledge and lore.
It would be great if you had all the cowboy knowledge, but then you like lived exclusively in the city and had never actually been to like a ranch or
I'm a full-on city slicker. I don't even know. I've never touched dirt.
I guess they did make a movie about that, didn't they?
Yeah, I guess so. But I just like the idea. Like, I'll make a whole website about like best meals to eat as a cowboy.
Good cowboy stew, man.
Best horses for cowboys. This is a good idea. I'm gonna close down BitBloggist and start doing cowboy content.
Fire it up, man. I'll be there.
Oh, that was awesome. All right, well, until next time, y'all. This has been the January 2024 BitCast. Thanks for tuning in to talk about some stuff.